Hello subscribers. I am doing a little bit of work on my RPG Fortaeverse, and so I figured while I'm coding, might as well live stream it just to give a little bit more information about it. So I'm working on parlaying or having conversations with NPCs, and so I have the base mechanism in place now, and I've been working on party member reputation and personalities and things of that nature, because all that plays into parlaying. And so right now what I'm going to do is make it where a party member can offend or be offensive to an NPC, depending on personality types and what you say. And I'm working on making it where you increase your rudeness factor here. So let's see here. This is Java, as I've discussed before. Hey, John Archer, welcome to the stream. Not playing a game today. I'm actually just going to be doing some coding on my RPG, but glad you're here anyway. So I don't know if that's of interest to you or not. Hey, Liquid Mel Slime, welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is Java, and no, you're not too stupid for C++. Nobody's really too stupid to do programming. It's just some people's brains are geared more toward logic and programming. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna I made this method here, increase party member reputation, and I'm gonna put in I got to create a special method here in my database area. So what I'm going to do is take one of these existing ones, reputation, and we're going to either update the database or insert. See if I have another method. I'm looking for one that's similar to what I'm trying to do. It's probably up higher here. I'll just snag this one. And so the first thing we're going to do is check and see if this already exists. I don't have that method, so I need to make that. So the way this works is your reputation is based on the party member that's speaking and the target, which is going to be an NPC. And you can have individual relationships between just those two people. So like, depending on your personalities, it may conflict. Like a polite person doesn't like a rude person as much, but there's other influence factors, of course, like charisma and your skills and all kinds of things. So what I need to do now is check to see if there's already an existing reputation for this behavior. And one of the behaviors, like this one, is called rude. So does this person generally have a rude behavior? So we need to pass in associated party member, and then the reputation type. And we're going to see if one already exists. If it doesn't, then we're going to insert it. If it does, we're going to do an update, because there's only two possibilities there. So if existing is not null, we're going to do an insert party member reputation. Otherwise, we're going to do an update here. Okay, looks like I might already have a... Oh, good. I already have the insert, so I won't have to redo that. So we're going to add an update now. And databases use a language called SQL, SQL. Almost all of them use it, so you just have to code in that special language. So let me find another update statement I already did. And we'll replace this. So we're going to update party member reputation. That's the table name. And we're going to set party member ID. We're going to set associated party member ID. And then we're going to set reputation type. And finally, there should be a value. There it is, reputation. And we're going to do that where the internal ID is equal to that. Okay. So I have the first one I'm setting is party member ID. So that's this one. Next is associated. That's that one. Reputation type. That's that one. And then reputation is that. And then this becomes parameter 5. It goes in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the timestamps. I guess I'll go ahead and update the timestamp too while I'm here, which is last update time. That allows me to know when that last database record was touched. Okay, so that should do that. So now I gotta implement get party member reputation, and then that will be finished. And what I'll probably do is return this type of object. We're going to take our current reputation and set its ID equal to the existing one. And then this one, hey Silicon Kane, welcome to the stream. This one we're going to, well, we don't have to do anything. Let's see. I got these backwards. If it equals null, we're going to insert. Okay, so then otherwise we're going to update. That's that. All right, and then I can get rid of all this junk down here. Except the close. Java has a block you can do called a finally, which no matter what happens in this code here, like if an error is thrown or something, this code will run afterwards. So all that we're doing here is ensuring that our database connection closes after it tries to update the reputation. Okay. So now I'm just going to find a get party member, a similar method, and I'm going to copy that. I don't want a plural one though, I just want a singular one. This one will work. Get party member reputation. Now let me see what parameters I was going to pass. I know I already had that set. So I'm going to pass in the connection, party member ID associated, and okay. party member ID, associated party member ID, and then the reputation type. So we're looking for a very specific reputation type. Okay, so we're going to select all the fields from party member reputation. And we're going to do that where party member reputation party member ID equals that and associated party member ID equals that, and one more, reputation type ID equals reputation type ID. Okay, so that's going to return a specific reputation between two party members. And then we need a method to fill the actual values, which I haven't done yet. And I'm going to talk about in just a little bit, I'll show the different factors that affect your reputation when speaking with an NPC. This name doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to fill party member reputation. So I'll copy this one. And then I'm just going to do a replace here to speed this up. Okay, so then we have party member ID, we have reputation type ID, make sure, yep, okay. And that can't be null, so gets that. And then we got an associated party member ID. And then we have the reputation itself, which is just a number. And I have it as what's called a double, which means it can be a decimal number. Okay. I do think the object has a transient variable in it. Let me double check. It does, so I'm going to go ahead and get that too. So we're going to select reputation type dot name as that, and then we join these two tables together. So we're going to join ES party member reputation on party member reputation dot reputation type ID equals reputation type dot ID. Okay, so that'll get us everything we need. Now this wants a party member reputation, and there we go. This is one of the tedious things about programming, is getting all this, it's called plumbing, the junk, the necessary evil stuff in there. Okay, so Now we can just do this. We already got our reputation object. That's what this is. And this is how much to increase it by. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and return that just in case I want to use it at some point. And I need to set, might as well set the reputation in there. Well, it's going to increase it. That's something I didn't do with this. So if it doesn't exist, what we're going to do is going to get the existing, and then we're going to add to it the reputation value we pass in. Otherwise, we're just going to set it equal to the value. Okay. So I don't need to set the value here. I do need to set the reputation type. So I don't have a method yet for getting reputation type by ID. So I'll just use one like this. See if I have that. Good. I at least have that method. Okay. So that'll get the reputation type. And actually, I have it by name here. So I need to add one of those. Sometimes I get by name, sometimes I get by the ID. Now this you got to be careful on, that someone doesn't try to do what's called a SQL injection attack. So we're going to replace that. And then we're going to just make sure case is ignored. Okay. So this will be generic, where I can do it for any type of personality or whatever. Now I finally have it, and I can set the reputation type. There we go. Okay, so now I can talk about how personality works. Well, actually, I probably ought to just show you. Let me see here. Let's see if I can show you. Show you some code here. Show you actually how the parlaying is going to work. That might give a little better idea. Okay. Now I might have to add a special. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to log in. I have to create a quick party. I'm going to make this guy aristocrat. And then I'll make it one more. It's Doesn't matter. Let's see. Merchant. Actually, no. Let's do a diplomat because they have a special skill here. A goblin diplomat. That's a pretty funny combination. Okay, so I'm going to go to the blacksmith. You're going to actually hear some of the sound updates too. So you should hear him hammering away. Yeah, you can hear it. That's something I haven't showed yet. So it's loud when you get close to it, right on top of the sound source. It's at 100% volume. Now I'm going to move away a little bit. See, it gets quieter. And then you move far enough away. It's quieter yet. Let me go ahead and go back. Little blacksmith. So I'm going to go in. Okay, so now I'm inside and I'm going to parlay. And it's asking who's going to parlay. See, the diplomat, we'll have her do it. So you just say what you want to say. Let's just say name. Okay, so Harold Smith said Harold Smith. Now I'm putting in text parsing so you can say certain combinations like, what is your name? And it'll do the same thing. And up here it'll say what you said, and then it'll have what they said. But I also have shortcuts for common things like vocation. So you don't have to say, what is your vocation? You say vocation and he tells you craftsman. So that's how this is going to work. Now, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to have the list keep scrolling so that you see all the dialogue, or if it's just going to say the latest statement. I don't know about that. But basically, whatever you say here, it's going to be interpreted by the game engine and that, NPC or whatever. And so in there's all kinds of things that are checked. And I'm going to put a breakpoint so we can hit the code. So let me just say, I'll just do name again. Okay, it hit the breakpoint. So let me flip my camera. Okay, so I'm going to step in. So there's this method called calculate effective likability, and there's all kinds of factors considered here. The first one, the biggest factor, is your charisma. So Lori the Goblin happens to have 70 charisma. Now with humans, the ranges for all attributes, including charisma, starts at 80 and goes to 120. That's the max. So this goblin has less than the minimum that a human has. So that's not that great. So that's going to have an impact on the likability of this character. So you start out neutral. Well, based on charisma, I just lost 15 points. Essentially, it's percentage points off the likability. So there's a 15% chance that he's not going to like my character, what I just said. But there's other factors. So the next one it grabs is confidence. And I have a confidence of 90, or Lori does, which actually is going to give a little bit of a boost. It's not much. Confidence doesn't affect that much. But it went from minus 15 to minus 14 now. So tiny little bump there. And then it checks empathy, the empathy attribute. And again, she has 90 because she's a diplomat. And diplomats need a minimum 90 empathy. So now it went from minus 15 to minus 12.75. So that's the chance currently that this Harold is going to like what I said. Next, it looks for a skill called diplomacy. And I do have it because, or she has it because she's a diplomat. And her effective value is 20. Let me see if you can see this. Oh, you can't see that. That's annoying. For some reason, it can't view the pop-ups. Well, anyway, you'll just have to take my word for it. So the level is 20. And so now, because of that skill, my value, remember, it started out at minus 15 but because of my charisma. It's now minus 4.75. You can see it over here on the right. So that's, not much of a loss. So that made up a big difference of the charisma loss there. Now, what's interesting about the diplomacy skill is all party members have an attribute called logic, which is similar to intelligence, but it's a little bit different. So based on your logic, which happens to be 80 for Lori, so she's not going to get a bonus or a detriment because of it. That also will impact how diplomacy works. Because basically, when the target has a higher logic value, diplomacy has a better chance of working. And the way to think about it is if you try to be a diplomat with like a troll that's just really dumb, it's not going to have much impact. In fact, it may confuse him more and he might not like you even more. So that's what that's all about. So the current value is still the same. So then it looks for a skill called persuasion. And sure enough, the diplomat has it. And skill level is 20 again. Okay, same deal. Then we look for prestige, which an aristocrat has. So this person doesn't have it. And then leadership is another skill that can impact it, which this person doesn't have. The warlord has a leadership skill. Next, it checks some conditions of the target. And what it's checking here is the target hypnotized? Because if it's in a hypnotized state, that's a big boost to your likability. Because anyone that's hypnotized is just kind of out of it. And so they're a lot less likely to not like you. But he wasn't hypnotized, so we skip past that. Next, we're going to look at intelligence differences. So the way I've designed this is if the target and the speaker has vast differences in their intelligence level, the target's not going to like it, whether the target's smarter or the target's dumber. It's just kind of like in real life. People generally hang out with people of similar intelligence ranges, and that's just a general statement. That's not obviously true all the time, but it does impact the likability. And so it looks like the difference in intelligence is 10. So are we smarter? No, we're dumber. So we're dumber than Harold. And so that has a very slight decrease in our value. So we're currently at 3.25. We actually have a positive likability. So now after this, it just dropped to almost 0. It's negative 0.08. So because of the intelligence differences there, we're back down to being neutral again. Finally, it starts looking at personalities. And I don't have those implemented yet on the characters, but I'll just go through the code and show you how it works. So as an example, if the speaker has a personality type of rude, or at least that's what the target sees them as, like if you've been rude to him before, then you're going to be looked upon as being rude. If the target has polite, honorable, or crude, let's do these first. Polite or honorable, that's a negative influence because obviously a polite person doesn't like rude people as much. However, there are some positive impacts. If you're rude and the person you're talking to has a crude personality, you actually get a tiny bonus. And so the concept I have here is people like similar people. So, like crude people like crude people, smart people like smart people in general. So all these different personality types are going to mix together, which I think is going to be fun, because just because you have high charisma and maybe you're skilled at something doesn't mean it's going to be an ultimate good impact on the result. Like if you're talking with a troll who has 50 intelligence, low charisma, he's rude, crude, and you're a diplomat with really high intelligence, and you're pompous and polite, and I don't know what else. But you could actually end up with a negative influence. That troll may not like you because you're just too different for him. So that's how all this stuff's going to play out. And there's one final factor, and this is based on the other party members in your party. So the only factor for other party members that have an influence is their charisma, because that's observable. Is that person ugly? Is the person beautiful? That's going to have an impact on talking with that person. Now, it doesn't have nearly as much of an impact. The majority of the impact, by far, is the speaker themselves. But let's say you had a diplomat and you had 5 ugly trolls in your party. That may have a pretty significant impact on them liking you, because they may not want to have anything to do with you if they're a human and you've got 5 trolls in your party. So that may be where you'd want to split your party off, temporarily leave the trolls in the alley, and, you go in as the human and talk with you, by yourself. Maybe it'll have a bigger impact. And then there's some other things I haven't coded yet, like your local area reputation. So like if let's say you get caught stealing in a store and you run away, that's going to impact the reputation in that area, the whole city, unless you did it and they didn't catch you. They didn't see who you were. But if they see you, now that one person has a bad reputation, and they're going to be looked at as a thief for the whole area. So anyone you go to talk to that doesn't like thieves are going to have a very negative view of your party member. And so if that party member's in your party and you go into a store and he's not the one talking, it doesn't matter. That's going to have a big impact on how that storekeeper approaches the speaker, because he's in your party and you're associated with him. So once again, that'd be where you'd want to leave him somewhere else, then come in and talk. And so it's going to get really interesting and complicated for players to figure out the best way to deal with different NPCs and stuff. And that'll actually I think it'll encourage people to be nicer to the NPCs and not try to be abusive or steal. Or you can still do it, but there's going to be risk involved because of this. So anyway, that's how all that's going to work, and pretty excited about it. So like right here, the charisma of one of the party members, so Daryl, was 100, which is good. And so that might give a little boost here. Let me look. No, it's not going to give any boost. 100's the even number for charisma. If you go below 100, then it starts having a negative impact. So that had no impact. Okay, so now that's likability. Now there's also something called a chance to offend. And the way this works is based on what you say, it can have an offensive tendency. And there's certain things that are pretty much always offensive. Like if you were to say to the person, you're a jerk, most NPCs are going to take that as offensive and they're going to get offended. Unless maybe they're hypnotized or you have really good charisma or something. But let's say you say you're a jerk and they get offended. What's going to happen now is, let me see if it actually happens. So my chance to offend them right now based on what I just said, is 0.08%. Extremely low chance. And it didn't happen. If it did happen, then what'll happen is on the screen where it has the parlay window, the parlay window is going to close and it's going to tell you, so-and-so is offended. Now they will remember. They're going to remember your party member. So when you come back, it's going to check and see if you've offended it. And I already showed you that earlier. So then they may not even talk to you at all. You try to start a conversation and nope, they're going to ignore you. So there's a price to pay for saying offensive things. Now I can control certain phrases too. Like I made Sasha, the alchemist, get easily offended if you ask her age. Just an FYI. So if you ask what her age is, there's like a, 15% chance that she'll get offended by that. And so that'll decrease your likability. So let's say you made it past with whatever you said and you didn't offend them. Next, it checks your likability, and if, it tries to determine if they're going to refuse to parlay with you. If it doesn't, then they come back and they give you a response. And that's what you saw on the screen earlier. So that's how that works. So I can show you. Oh, here's the personality types I have so far. And you can have more than one. You're definitely not going to only have one. And some of these are going to be considered reputations too. So, even though technically you may not have polite as your personality type, if you say nice things to people, you can get a reputation of being polite. So the difference is your action versus your core personality. The core personality always is a factor, no matter who you meet. But what you say or do that's situational, that is it's different for each NPC. That's on an individual basis. So we have polite, helpful, angry, conservative, wasteful, boring, sarcastic, silent, swindler, liar, entertainer, greedy. And some of these are kind of similar. There's a fine line, but they are a little bit different. Pompous, paranoid, quirky, honorable, trustworthy, and some of them you earn, like trustworthiness and things like that. Selfish, reckless, violent, rude, crude, and peaceful. So, I may come up with some more, but all these combinations will impact when you're talking with other NPCs. And so that's the plan. Let's see, is there anything else I can show you? Seems like there was something else I had done recently. I know there was. What was it? Oh, yeah, I didn't show you the aristocrat's house yet. Okay, so I'm an aristocrat, and they start with their own estate in Springfield. That's the town you start in. And so I'm going to go to that. I'm inside. Let me see if I can exit first. Okay. Head over to my estate. Hey, Lucas Warren, welcome to stream. And I'm having my mom do some graphics. Like I said, I'm never going to have a lot of graphics just because it's just so much. But I'm trying to get terrain that's going to vary. So like as you're walking through a dirt area, it's going to flip between a few, every step it'll flip between a few tiles. So then that way it kind of has the illusion that you're moving instead of it just being a static graphic. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm at the estate. So we're going to enter the house, and I got a bug. Let me see what it is real quick. Am I even on the right? Oh, yeah, I'm not even on the Firefox. There we go. Let's see here. Okay, I can fix this real quick. Okay, get rid of that. And that should hopefully fix that. Okay. So there we are. Let me exit again just to show you. So enter the house. Okay, so now inside the house, this is the graphic I'm using right now. This is where your whole party, since they're guests, can rest. You can cache items. You can cache money, or you can retrieve your items of money, and there may be some other things too, but basically it's a safe haven. And so if you left your party here for a long time, you'll be fine. You'll be in great shape. In fact, I may even have it where you don't even have to worry about food while you're here, that it'll just be kind of like you could leave them there a whole year and they'll be safe. But anyway, you can cache money. Let me see if I've implemented part of that. I can't remember. No. I need to, let me see if I did this one. No. I have the menu options, I just haven't. It is Daryl's house, and that's not going to show any items. So anyway, let me show you the bank too. But that's where you're going to get a pick what options you want to do. So we're going to go to the bank, because this I do know I have part of it done. Springfield Bank. And once again, if you haven't seen these streams before, this list will get updated based on what you know. So as you find new locations, you'll get more places to go. And I'll have to figure out how I want to handle how many to show, like based on a certain area or something. But I just update the coordinates here so you can see it moving. But this main picture here is where it'll, flip in and out. Hopefully as I get more terrain pictures as you're walking. Okay, so we're at the bank. Now, Lori is a merchant, and merchants have a bank account. Or no, she's not a merchant, she's a diplomat. The merchants have a bank account, and aristocrats do too. They're given one from the beginning. The reason why an aristocrat has one is because your estate will actually generate income while you're gone. If you want to use it like as rental property, you can be away, and the money that's generated will go into an account. For the merchant, you're actually going to have an account where you can have items that appear and disappear in there. So you'll be doing merchant activity automatically through your account while you're not there. So you can see Lori doesn't have one, so she could open one, but it's 100 copper charge to open an account. Otherwise, Daryl has all these options. So like, let's say Daryl wants to deposit money, which is a 1% charge. I just display different options here. So do you want to deposit basically all your money, or do you want to do, smaller amounts? And it tells you what the charge will be by the bank. So let's just say we'll deposit 700 there. Okay, so now if I go to withdraw money, how much do you want to withdraw? So I could withdraw all of it, all 700, or you could withdraw certain amounts. Now this will protect you from obvious, like things like pickpockets and bandits and all kinds of other things. Now, right now, only the party member that opens an account can have access to it. I don't know if I'm going to change that behavior in the future, but right now that's how I want to have it. Because then that way you can't just like open an account, get rid of the party member, have him die, and then, you know, just easily take out his stuff from there. I'm just not sure though. Let's see, is there anything else I want to show? Oh, you can deposit items, kind of like a vault, and I don't think did I do that yet? Okay, so it shows you all the items you have, and this is based on weight. So the more something weighs, the more the charge is going to be. You know, so small items like rings and things, it'll just be like 1 copper charge. But otherwise, the more it weighs, it just keeps going up. I don't think I have this implemented. Let me see. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. But that's how it's going to work. Let's see here. Anything else? We could try to see if we can offend Sasha. I think, like I said, I have it implemented. I don't know if I have that code checking that. I don't think I do. I hit a breakpoint. There we go. Nah, that's the wrong response. That should have been for vocation. If you say something meaningless, oh, it should have said so-and-so doesn't respond. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, I'll do that again. So go back. So say ABCD. There we go. So it just says she gives a trivial response. Because I always thought it was goofy in games when the NPCs respond like, I don't know what you mean, you know, because you could say something that made sense and it has a goofy response. So I just have it say it kind of in like a narrative form where it says so-and-so gives a trivial response. So anyway. Yeah, Lucas, this is the game I'm making. Mm-hmm. Okay, well that's enough of that. I don't think there's anything else to show right now. Let's see. I've talked about all this stuff. All the attack stuff I've shown before. Pretty soon I'm going to implement real combat too, so it turns into a turn-based battle, and then I'll start playing music and stuff in the background too, kind of like how Wizardry 8 works. Just cut her lower leg. Plus I'll make it where, like, if you do something like this, obviously it's going to impact your reputation immediately, and it'll either throw you into battle or they'll run away or call for help or something. And so you obviously won't want to go around attacking NPCs normally, but I give you the ability if you want to. What else we got? That's probably it. Yeah. Okay. Let me see what I'm showing. Okay, so I'm showing that. Flip over. There we go. And just to show you, let me see if it's showing up. Doesn't show up. Let's see here. There we go. Now you can see it. Show you the tables in here in the database to show you how many things I have. So things related to actions like attacking, swimming, blah, blah, blah. Armor types. Check this real quick. So here's an example of the armor types. Gets very specific, like boiled leather versus just normal cloth, and some things are kind of very specific for certain vocations, like the do is for samurai. It doesn't mean others can't wear it, but they may have penalties. And that's what I'm struggling with to decide on is I think I'm going to allow any character to use any weapon or armor as long as it fits and as long as they're strong enough, but they may just be terrible with it. So like if you had a wizard and you wanted him to use a halberd, you can do it, but if he has no polearm skill from a previous vocation, then he's probably never going to hit anything. Plus, he's going to be real weak with it. So anyway, there'll be different types of even like metals, like mail versus tegulated. Been doing lots of research on just different types of armor and stuff like that. Let's see. And then we have our attributes, of course. There's lots of them. We have agility, which is your ability to move your body quickly and easily. So that impacts combat a lot and moving around and dodging and things. We already know what charisma is. It's not just how you look, it is also how you behave, like how you can influence others. But a big portion of that is sometimes just appearance. Then you have some major ones that are related to your life, I'm going to call it. Let's see which ones we got here. I would say there's one more. Where is it? There we go. So all these that I've highlighted, like hydration level, sustenance level, and nutrition level, those are all going to be related to impacting your health long term. Because you will have to worry about food and drink. You won't have to actually do the drinking and the eating. It'll do it automatically for you. But you will have to have some food with you, and it'll just automatically use it. Then you have like major system health, like, where's the other one? Your circulatory system, which of course is your veins, arteries, and your bloodstream. Poisons, internal acids, and things like that will affect that. Your mental health, which affects basically if you either go insane or you become a vegetable and you can't do anything, you fall unconscious, you fall in a coma, things of that nature. Nervous system health, anything that impacts your ability for your body to function. So you could become paralyzed or even killed, based on that health getting too low. Your physical health is basically your hit points. And then you have respiratory system health, anything you breathe in, whether it's poison, acid, smoke. And then there's one more, stamina. And that's just like in the Wizardry series, how it impacts how much energy you have, basically. So that's those. And then confidence, that's kind of a miscellaneous one, but it does impact several things, like your ability to hit things, your charisma a little bit, your ability to accomplish something, your morale, like not being afraid. Constitution is one of the health-related attributes. I say there's 3 main ones. Constitution is basically what you're made of. So let's take a treant. A treant's going to have really high constitution because it's tough. It's made out of wood. So its actual physical stature is very tough. A troll, very tough. Something like a fairy, very dainty and tiny and small, is going to have very low constitution. There's not much there. It's not the same thing as hit points. It just impacts your physical health and some of the others. Vitality is more than just constitution. It's like your ability to survive. An example would be a dwarf. So dwarves have really high vitality, not necessarily constitution, because they don't have a lot of mass necessarily, but they have a very tough system, basically, especially like circulatory system and things of that nature. And then willpower is just basically your mind, your toughness based on your mind. So you can have a lot of willpower and sometimes overcome certain things. There's a limit to that, though. Let's see, let me check the chat, make sure nobody has said anything. Nope, okay. Divine favor, this is a really special one. And each party member is only going to start with one divine favor. And there's going to be a huge list of things you can do with this. Essentially, you're going to be able to call upon the gods with this. And it uses it up when you use it. And it's going to be able to do all kinds of different things. Like, it could range from teleporting you somewhere to repairing a relationship you screwed up with an NPC, to changing the random effect of finding treasure. Like, let's say you open a chest and it gives you some goofy item that doesn't work for your party members. Well, you could use a divine favor, and I'll present you with a list of 5 or 10 similar items, like of similar value, I guess I'll say, and then you pick one, and the gods will say, oh, here you go. So it's basically just divine intervention. Now, you can get divine favor in rare cases. It's going to be really hard to get. But let's say you complete some major quest that was very inspirational. Maybe you'll get one. Or let's say you go to the temple and you pray for a month straight and you're a priest. Maybe you'll get one. So that's how you can get them. But you can also lose them. If you do certain things that the gods doesn't like, then they may take 1 or 2 away from you. So that's going to be a very fun factor. It's going to kind of turn it more into like a real tabletop role-playing game. Empathy, that's your ability to obviously feel how others feel. And that impacts things like your relationship with them. It impacts things like being able to cure or heal someone. Diagnosis, things of that nature. Oh, and here's endurance. That was another physical related thing. So that'll impact your stamina in a big way. Initiative, that attribute impacts how quickly you can perform an action. once the action is started, then initiative isn't useful anymore. But initiative it's not necessarily physical. It could be mental as well. So it's kind of a just overall, how quickly can you react to something? Intelligence, there's different types of intelligence. Let me highlight them here. Those are the three main types. So intelligence is how good your memory is, how easily you can learn new skills or be taught how to improve skills, things of that nature. All of these can impact spellcasting, but so can spirituality and empathy, depending on the type of caster you are. So logic is more about solving things, like logic and reasoning, whether it's disarming a trap, figuring out how to create something or invent something, just that kind of thing, problem solving. Mana is a major attribute, like it's the equivalent of physical health, but it's for your magic. So it's kind of like magic points. Perception, that's your ability to detect various things and to be sensitive to your surroundings. So that's going to have an impact on all kinds of things, whether it's finding treasure, finding vulnerabilities to be able to critical hit some enemy, sensing if someone's lying, just things of that nature. You have 3 senses right now. There's no point in talking about sense of touch. There's just really no benefit to that. So hearing, sight, and smell, all those can impact detecting various things in the world. Speed is your movement speed. So you can have high agility, like being able to move your upper body and things real quickly, but not necessarily be able to be quick, like move fast. An example might be a goblin. A goblin, because they have short legs, they may not be able to run real fast, but they could move their body real quickly and avoid things. So there's differences there. Spirituality is your strength with the gods. So it's totally different than divine favor, which are points you use. Spirituality is more about your ability to harness certain powers or abilities through the gods, channeling it. Strength impacts damaging something with some physical attack. Not all physical attacks though, like whips aren't impacted by strength much, or crossbows have 0 impact on strength, things of that nature. But it also impacts some of your health systems as well. Let's see. And then wisdom. Okay, wisdom is making wise decisions. It's kind of, I know that's kind of a circle, but making a decision that is beneficial versus a detriment, and knowing when to make certain decisions and timing and stuff. And it also impacts certain spell casting. So lots of attributes. Attributes can be modified. Where is it? Attribute modifier type. So like there's some main categories, like spells and magic items and things can have these different impacts, like deterioration, which means over time the attribute goes down. It can drain an attribute, so it actually pulls it down in value. The associated one for that is restore. So you can restore something back and get rid of the drain. Or regeneration is the opposite of deterioration. So you can have it slowly build back up versus a restore being instant. You can just have an increase, which is the opposite of a drain. Or there's a set, and what that does is it sets a given attribute to a specific value. So like, let's say there's a spell called Titan Strength, and it just sets your strength at whatever Titan Strength is. So if you are stronger, it actually lower potentially. Or if you're weak, really weak, it doesn't matter. It just, boom, sets it at that level. So that applies to all the different attributes. What else we got here? Body location type. So there's all kinds of different body parts, and different species of life forms will have different types. Like a human doesn't have a bell, but a jellyfish would. So most of these are humanoid body parts, like hand, foot, head, lower arm, lower leg, blah, blah, blah. And so all of the armor you wear, clothing, hit areas from weapons, it's all going to be impacted with this stuff. Let me see what this is. Component type, I think, is for weapons. Yeah. Like, does it have a blade? Is it a chain? Does it have a handle? Because each type of object's going to have different parts to it. It's like you could break just part of it. Composition type. That's what it's made out of. There's a whole bunch of them. Some of them are solids, like aluminum, bronze, copper, whatever. And I have different factors, like its hardness, its yield strength, tensile strength, its density, structure point modifier. And what that means is like certain objects are defaulted to a certain material. Like mail armor is going to be steel by default. So, or a metal, I guess I should say a metal. Anything that's made out of metal will be steel by default. So if you compare it to, let's say, bronze or copper, here copper is a minus 200% structure point modifier. So if a steel shield is 1,000 structure points, then you're going to divide it by 2. Or would it be 3? Let me think about this. It'd be by 3. But you're cutting it down by 200%. So that's what all that stuff is. And then I debated whether I wanted to get into really specific things on like stones and wood. And right now I'm just leaning toward having softwood and hardwood. Because otherwise it gets ridiculous. I already have a lot of different things here. So, okay, what else we got? Condition type. There's a ridiculous number of these. I've talked about these before, so I won't beat a dead horse here, but, dizzy, deaf, dead, bleeding, just all kinds of different effects. What else we got? Event type. I had to program in certain, where is it at? Event action type. Certain types of things that my game engine needs to be able to do. Excuse me. So that's what this is. So like maybe you step in a certain spot and it's going to cast a spell. Or it's going to change your death positioning or display a picture on the screen. So that's what all this stuff is. And then facilities. There's going to be all kinds of different facilities. Like, bakery, bank, bowyer, candle shop, blah, blah, blah. So that's what all these are. Fact. This is kind of interesting. I don't have anything in there, but there's a table where party members will learn things as it goes along. And that's what these facts are going to be. There's also something called a party member known factoid. And that's more trivial things like, I know this person's name over here. Or I know there's an item on the ground over here. And that's just going to improve the playability of the game for people. So that as you walk over an item that you already know is there, it's not going to tell you again. So there's just like a framework for that. Location. So the location table has what type of thing it is. See, here's my estate, Durrell's estate. So that's his house. It says where it's at in the game world. And I have area so that certain locations can span larger areas. Like here, Gabe's workshop is a 30-foot radius. So you don't have to get to that exact position. You can be within 30 feet and you'll be able to enter the place. Then I also have factors like, is it rural? Is it urban? What are the factors there? Because that's going to impact events and things that fire based on being there. Like the saloon, 90% urban. So there's a much greater chance of some urban type event firing while you're in the tavern. And then I can set sounds. I've programmed all that in. Like the blacksmith. They have sounds that play there. Some have music that play. Here's the music for the temple. And there's Village Hall. So anyway, I think I'm going to call it quits for now. I hope you enjoyed that and gave you a little bit better feel for the game I'm working on. And I'm excited and hoping to have something maybe next year that is like a very, very early beta for people to play around with and be able to do, a lot of different actions and stuff. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.